Did you know that you could also get coverage against aircraft and vehicle collisions for your property? We're going to talk about the extended coverage endorsement today. What's up? You're watching Tito Talks, non-life insurance discussions with me, your favorite Tito Miguel, who loves to make non-life insurance topics easier to understand for both agents and clients. Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Thank you for tuning in to our channel. If you like this type of content, please feel free to like and to subscribe to my channel so that we can continue providing you with relevant topics to make your understanding of non-life insurance all the more easier. And as promised in our intro, we are going to talk about our extended coverage endorsement, which is quite an interesting package if you ask me, because it doesn't just have one, not two, but four exclusive perils that are part of this particular package, all bundled up into one nice benefit for the worried homeowner. And before we get into our promised content for today, please watch out until the end of the video because we're going to be sharing our word for the day, wherein we empower your vocabulary and improve your pronunciation skills as well. So without further ado, here is your extended coverage endorsement. The first part of the extended coverage endorsement is known as the explosion coverage. And this might confuse a lot of beginners in the insurance industry. Wait a minute, Miguel. I already have fire coverage. Doesn't that cover explosion as well? Not exactly. When you're talking about fire damage, or when you're talking about the peril known as fire, you're talking about the actual burning or scorching or the smoke damage caused by fire when it affects certain areas of your household. But when you're talking about explosion, you're talking about a completely different peril, which, you're gonna like this, may or may not involve fire. Can you have an explosion without fire? Absolutely, especially in the right cases. And no, I'm not talking about that kind of explosion. Hindi po. Although that is a very undesirable explosion with very damaging social cues, we're talking about explosions that could literally tear your house apart. Because if you take a look at the dictionary, the term explosion refers to a forceful blasting or tearing apart of a structure or a containment unit. So with that being said, when there is pressure inside a particular chamber and the pressure is too much for the chamber to contain, whatever is inside that chamber bursts out. And the force of that pressure coming out from that container is sometimes enough to damage your property. Most of the time, these explosions will have fire along with them, which is why it's really not a big deal if you confuse the two. However, it is to be understood that your explosion coverage should be treated differently from a fire coverage. Well, what could cause an explosion without a fire? That's a really good question. Well, let's say you have an LPG tank, which, although flammable, could simply just result in explosions without even causing any fires at all. Because the pressurized gas inside that tank, once ruptured, once compromised, could cause the tank to explode. And I'm not sure if you've seen any videos of exploding LPG tanks. They could travel at very, very high speeds, destroying everything in their path. And it's not just LPG tanks. Any pressurized containers containing gases, containing materials, even liquids contained at high pressures could burst and could explode, causing explosion damage. Now, isn't that interesting? The next coverage we're talking about under the ECE Extended Coverage Endorsement Package is the smoke benefit, which is probably not really that popular in the Philippines. Why do you ask? Well, because smoke damage or smoke coverage does pay for or indemnifies you from damages caused by the faulty operation of pipes, ventilation shafts, and connecting tubes that connect a fire to a chimney, which means in order to get the smoke coverage, a property would need something known as a chimney. Chimnea. Panahon pa ni what was that cartoon again? Uh, panahon pa to ni Princess Sarah, wherein you saw those that kid cleaning out the chimneys. Your house needs to have a chimney in order for it to get smoke coverage because it will cover the damages caused by the malfunction of these chimneys. Biglang kakalat yung usok kasi hindi na siya ma-channel ng maayos, and then the smoke covers the whole area of the house. This is what smoke coverage is for. Not exactly useful in the Philippines because, let's face it, wala po akong alam na bahay na may dito sa Pilipinas na may chimney, because if you have a chimney, there's a good chance may fireplace ka sa bahay mo. And if you have a fireplace in your house, that's really weird. Ano ho? Ang init-init na nga dito, may fireplace ka pa. The next coverage we're going to talk about, I think we mentioned this earlier in the intro, is your vehicle impact coverage. And as the name implies, if a vehicle creates impact or has a collision with your property, this coverage will pay for the damages that your property incurred. Teka lang, Miguel. Di ba meron na third-party property damage coverage ang motor car? Paano kung may comprehensive yung nakabanggang sasakyan? Sino magbabayad? That's a really interesting question. Now, in the event that the vehicle or the vehicle that had a collision with the house has a comprehensive insurance that covers third-party property damage, in this case, that's your property, then the liable party, which is the vehicle, kasi hindi naman po marunong umiwas ang bahay, the insurance of the vehicle will take care of the damages. You, as the homeowner, can claim from your home insurance, or you can claim from the insurance provider of the vehicle that collided with your home. Now, if you claim directly from the insurance provider of the vehicle owner, then that settles the matter then and there. Liability is taken care of. But if you file a claim against your own insurance, this begins a very interesting process with respect to another one of our 6 insurance principles, known as the principle of subrogation. And under this principle, the insurance company that covers your house will try to recover their losses from the insurance provider of the vehicle that collided with your house. But don't you worry. As the policyholder, you do not have to worry about that process anymore, because as far as you're concerned, nabayaran na ang bahay mo dahil sa pagkabangga. You just let the 2 insurance companies duke it out in terms of paperwork and in terms of legal action. Problema na nila yan. And that's the benefit of subrogation. The last thing, or the last coverage we're going to talk about for today, is the coverage of the aircraft collisions. And yes, you may be surprised, but you can get coverage if in case an aircraft, an actual aircraft, falls on your house. As unlikely as that may sound, it still does happen. And it could happen whether you're near the airport or not. Because as you know, the aerial runways in our sky are actually populated by airplanes that use our airspace. So if ever, whether that be a passenger aircraft or a freight aircraft, pag nalaglag po ang eroplano sa bahay mo, it should be covered under the aircraft cover. And it's not just aircraft, even just parts of the aircraft or even just the cargo of the aircraft is also covered under this benefit. And as promised, we're going to take a look into our word of the day. And we actually encountered this already, but I want to make sure that we are able to pronounce this word properly. And it is the term explosion. Yep. The term explosion, as we've defined earlier, is a noun referring to a powerful force of something being ripped apart, or a canister or a container being ripped apart or blown apart by internal pressure coming from within the canister or the container. Now, with that being said, let's put in our schwas, and you actually only have one schwa in the term explosion, and it is the ION sound at the end, preceded by an SH sound, as you've noticed me use it. Shin. Shin. Now say this with your tito. Explosion. Say that one more time. That sounds really, really nice. Explosion. So when you're talking about your ECE, one of the most important benefits you can get is your explosion coverage. Now, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure sharing my non-life insurance knowledge with you. Once again, this is Miguel, your favorite tito. If you are interested in particular topics about non-life insurance, please send me a like, send me an email, leave a comment on this video. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you'd like for me to cover in the future. I would love to hear from you. And as always, this is your favorite Tito Miguel saying, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.